If you close your eyes and hear the name Lebanon, what comes to mind first? Perhaps explosions and headlines? Political turmoil and conflict zones? Refugee crises and economic collapse? Maybe you picture a war-torn landscape, gray and broken, where hope has long since fled? Let me stop you right there. What if I told you that Lebanon is where the alphabet was born? The very letters you're reading right now. What if I said this tiny nation, smaller than Connecticut, contains Roman temples larger than the Parthenon? Biblical cedar forests that built Solomon's temple, and Phoenician ports that taught the ancient world how to sail. What if I revealed that in this single country, you can ski down mountain slopes in the morning and swim in the Mediterranean by afternoon? Today, I'm taking you beyond the headlines, past the stereotypes, into the Lebanon that exists beneath the noise. A land where every stone whispers an ancient secret, where hospitality isn't just practiced, but woven into the soul, where resilience isn't a buzzword, but a daily sunrise. Lebanon is the hidden phoenix of the Mediterranean, a nation that has learned to bloom from ashes so many times that rebirth has become second nature. It's a place where time doesn't march forward in straight lines, but swirls in spirals, where a 5,000-year-old temple stands next to a cafe serving espresso, where ancient and modern don't collide, but dance. Here, life doesn't move by the ticking of clocks, but by the rhythm of church bells and the call to prayer. by the scent of orange blossoms in spring and the first snowfall on Mount Lebanon, by the brewing of Turkish coffee and the pressing of olive oil that's been harvested the same way for 3 millennia. This is a land of perpetual contradiction. Mountains that rise abruptly from sea level to 3,000 meters within 30 kilometers. A population that speaks 3 languages before lunch. A cuisine that makes vegetarians and meat lovers equally delirious. Lebanon is cedar and stone, za'atar and salt, ancient script and modern verse. Seen from above, Lebanon resembles a crumpled piece of parchment pressed against the eastern Mediterranean, a narrow strip of golden coastline giving way to white limestone mountains, then the fertile Bekaa Valley, then more mountains, all compressed into just 10,452 square kilometers. The coastline glitters like a strand of amber beads. Tyre, Sidon, Beirut, Byblos, Tripoli, cities whose names echo through biblical texts and ancient manuscripts. The Mediterranean here isn't just blue, it's a progression of cerulean, turquoise, and sapphire, depending on the limestone sediment and the angle of the afternoon sun. As you descend, the golden stretches of beach give way to terracotta rooftops, then to the chaos of Beirut's architecture, a wild mixing of French colonial mansions, Ottoman-era stone houses, concrete Soviet-style apartment blocks, and gleaming glass towers. Then further inland, the red earth of the mountains appears, carved into ancient terraces that climb impossibly steep slopes, where olive groves and vineyards have clung for thousands of years. The transition from coast to mountain happens so quickly it feels like a geographical impossibility. One moment, palm trees and humidity. The next, pine forests and alpine air. architecture tells the story of every empire that ever tried to claim this crossroads of civilizations. In the old quarters of Beirut, Byblos, and Sidon, you'll find houses built from honey-colored limestone, the same stone the Phoenicians quarried, the same stone the Romans shaped, the same stone that today catches the setting sun and turns entire neighborhoods golden. The traditional Lebanese house follows an Ottoman design, a central hall with high ceilings and 3 arched windows that the locals call the eyes of the house. These triple arches aren't merely decorative, they represent the Lebanese philosophy of openness to the world, letting light flood in from multiple directions, refusing to look in only one direction. The red-tiled roofs are descendants of Phoenician design, sloped to shed winter rains that can be torrential. In summer, these tiles absorb the day's heat and release it slowly through cool evenings. In winter, when snow blankets the mountains, these same roofs bear silent witness to the dramatic seasonal transformation. Walk through the cobblestone alleys of Byblos or Batroun, and you'll notice how the stones themselves have been worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, not eroded randomly, but polished into patterns that reveal the most common paths. The stone doesn't just support, it records. In Lebanon, neighborliness isn't a casual concept. It's a sacred obligation that borders on competitive sport. If you move into a traditional Lebanese neighborhood, you won't finish your first day without receiving at least 3 invitations for coffee, 2 plates of food you didn't ask for, and 1 insistent offer to help with whatever you might possibly need. The greeting, ahla wa sahla, welcome, isn't just words. It's a doorway into a complex ritual of hospitality. When a Lebanese person says, tafaddal, please come in, refusing is almost offensive. When they offer you coffee, they're not asking if you want coffee. They're telling you you're staying long enough to drink it. The coffee ceremony itself is a performance. Arabic coffee, thick and strong, served in tiny cups with cardamom, accompanied by a glass of water and something sweet, maybe a piece of baklava or Lebanese sweets dripping with orange blossom syrup. The host pours from a rockway, traditional coffee pot, filling your cup only halfway because fully filling it suggests you should drink quickly and leave. A half-full cup says, stay, we have time for you. spring arrives in Lebanon and the weather warms, villages across the mountains celebrate with dabka, the traditional line dance that's been stomping rhythms into Lebanese soil since before written records. Dabka isn't performed, it's erupted into. At weddings, festivals, and family gatherings, someone inevitably starts the rhythm, a steady beat on a tabla drum, or even just clapping hands. Then the Lawiya, leader, stands, raises one arm, and begins stomping the pattern. Others join, forming a line or circle, hands linked or on shoulders. Tell stories. The stomping represents the pounding of mud and straw to make roofs. The forward lunges mimic planting seeds. The shoulder-to-shoulder closeness expresses unity. It's not a performance for observers. Dabka exists to be participated in. Try standing on the sidelines at a Lebanese celebration. You absolutely cannot escape being pulled into the line. The music accelerates, the stomping intensifies, and before you know it, you're part of an ancient rhythm that connects you to millennia of Lebanese celebrants, all stomping the same earth, all celebrating survival, community, continuance. Then there's the Arak ritual, Lebanon's anise-flavored spirit that turns milky white when you add water. The Lebanese don't just drink Arak, they philosophize through it. There's a saying, first Arak, then politics, but never politics before Arak. It's served over ice with water, and always accompanied by meza, those dozens of small dishes that turn a meal into a multi-hour social event. You don't drink arak to get drunk. You sip it slowly through conversations that meander from family gossip to philosophy to heated debates about whose grandmother makes the best kibbeh. Have you ever wondered what a country known as the crossroads of civilizations actually looks like? Lebanon isn't just a metaphor for cultural intersection. It's a physical palimpsest where you can literally see history layered like geological strata. In Baalbek, you can walk through a complete timeline of human ambition. First, massive foundation stones, some weighing over 800 tons, placed by people we still can't definitively identify, using methods we can't fully explain. Then Roman temples built on top, including the Temple of Bacchus, which is larger and better preserved than the Parthenon. Then Byzantine churches built within the Roman structures. Then an Umayyad mosque incorporated into the temple complex. Then Crusader fortifications. Each civilization didn't erase the previous. They built upon it, argued with it, incorporated it. The stone speaks volumes here. Run your hand along the columns of the Temple of Jupiter, and you'll feel Greek inscriptions carved by Roman soldiers, Arabic graffiti from medieval pilgrims, and modern initials carved by 19th century travelers. Every generation felt compelled to leave their mark, to say, "I was here, I witnessed this marvel." The stone speaks volumes here. Run your hand along the columns of the Temple of Jupiter, and you'll feel Greek inscriptions carved by Roman soldiers, Arabic graffiti from medieval pilgrims, and modern initials carved by 19th century travelers. Every generation felt compelled to leave their mark, to say, "I was here, I witnessed this marvel." In the old souks of Tripoli and Sidon, you can descend through layers of city. Literally, modern shops built on Ottoman foundations, which rest on Crusader stones, which were placed atop Roman pavements, which cover Phoenician ports. Archaeologists in Lebanon don't dig so much as they descend through time. Don't let the tranquility of ancient sites fool you. These weren't museums. They were living, bustling centers of trade, worship, and politics, where deals were struck that shaped Mediterranean history, where religions were born and evolved, where the very concept of alphabet emerged from practical merchant necessity. Lebanon recognizes 18 official religious sects: Maronite Christian, Sunni Muslim, Shia Muslim, Druze, Greek Orthodox, Armenian Orthodox, and 12 others. On paper, this sounds like a recipe for disaster. In practice, in the villages and neighborhoods where people actually live, it manifests as something miraculous. In the Chouf Mountains, you'll find villages where the church and mosque stand side by side, sometimes sharing a courtyard. During Christian holidays, Muslim neighbors bring sweets. During Ramadan, Christian families adjust their schedules to share the iftar meal. This isn't political theater. It's Tuesday. They don't need to talk much about harmony. They live it every day. In Bashare, a predominantly Christian village, the parish priest will tell you stories about how, during the 1975-1990 Civil War, Muslim families from the coast sent their children to stay with Christian families in the mountains to protect them from violence. In southern Shia villages, you'll hear reciprocal stories about Christian families sheltered during Israeli invasions. The cedar tree, Lebanon's national symbol, grows in groves that have been protected by both Christian monasteries and Druze communities for centuries. The cedars don't care about the religion of their guardians. They reach toward heaven regardless, their roots penetrating the same earth, drawing the same water. There's a grove near Brachare called the Cedars of God, mentioned in the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Bible. Tradition says these trees provided the timber for Solomon's temple. Today, they're protected by Muslims, Christians, and Druze alike, not because of whose temple they might have built, but because they're Lebanon's soul in botanical form. Standing beneath a cedar that's 3,000 years old, a tree that was ancient when Rome was founded, that was already a giant when Christ walked these hills, puts religious differences in perspective. we're all just temporary caretakers of something infinitely older and more permanent than our doctrinal disputes. Lebanon experiences all 4 seasons with dramatic intensity. In winter, the mountains receive heavy snow, not unusual for some peaks to have 3 meters of accumulation. The ski resorts of Mazar, Cedars, and Zaoror operate from December through April, offering the surreal experience of skiing with a view of the Mediterranean just 30 kilometers away. But winter in Lebanon isn't recreational for everyone. In mountain villages, it means isolation, roads cut off for weeks, life slowing to the pace of wood stoves and wool blankets. This harsh reality gave birth to Mouni, the Lebanese tradition of preserving the abundance of summer to survive the scarcity of winter. Starting in late summer, Lebanese households, especially in villages, transform into preservation factories. Tomatoes are boiled down into thick paste and spread on sheets to sun-dry. Eggplants are hollowed, stuffed, and pickled in brine. Grape leaves are blanched and layered in jars. Makdous, baby eggplants stuffed with walnuts, red peppers, and garlic, then submerged in olive oil, are prepared in quantities that would feed an army. The smell of these preparations is intoxicating. Vinegar and dill from cucumber pickles, the earthy sweetness of fig jam simmering with anise and orange peel, the sharp tang of labna, strained yogurt, being salted and rolled into balls before being covered in olive oil.
And everything is curling up tight.
Mouni isn't just practical, it's philosophical. It represents the Lebanese worldview. Prepare for hardship during abundance, rely on your own resources, and always have something to offer a guest, no matter how lean the season. When spring arrives, the transformation is explosive. The mountainsides erupt in wildflowers. Red poppies, yellow crown daisies, purple lupines. The air fills with the scent of orange blossoms and jasmine. Every village has at least one festival, usually celebrating a saint's day or a harvest, with food, music, and dancing.
The water is rising, it's coming, reaching out, reaching out. The water is rising over me, the water is rising out, reaching out, it's coming, reaching.
Summer brings brutal Mediterranean heat to the coast, but the mountains remain cool enough that Beirutis have traditionally maintained summer homes in villages like Eden, Ale, and Brumana. The evening ritual of the coastal cities, the promenade along the Corniche, becomes a necessity, not a luxury, as people escape suffocating apartments to catch the sea breeze. The elders of the mountain villages hold a strong belief that Lebanon is the actual location of the biblical Garden of Eden. They'll point to the abundance of water, 4 major rivers flowing year-round from mountain springs. They'll reference the cedars of God, mentioned repeatedly in Scripture. they'll note that some of the world's oldest continuously inhabited cities are in Lebanon. Byblos has been occupied for over 7,000 years. Whether or not Eden was literally in Lebanon is unprovable, but the claim reflects something true. This land has been continuously cultivated, inhabited, and cherished longer than almost anywhere on Earth. In Kadisha Valley, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, hermit monks have been carving monasteries into cliff faces since the 4th century. The valley's name means holy in Aramaic, the language Jesus spoke. Walking through this gorge, where waterfalls cascade down limestone walls and ancient cedar trees cling to impossible slopes, where the air smells of pine and wild thyme, you understand why people believed they were walking in a divine garden. The lifestyle patterns here stem from this deep connection to land. The reluctance to leave, even during war and economic hardship. The fierce protection of family property, with land disputes that stretch back generations. The practice of burying family members on their own land, literally becoming part of the soil. Despite its small size, Lebanon contains remarkable biodiversity. The mountains harbor brown bears, though rarely seen, wolves, wild boars, and hundreds of bird species that use Lebanon as a crucial migration corridor between Europe and Africa. In spring and fall, birdwatchers gather to witness millions of storks, pelicans, and raptors soaring on thermals above the Bekaa Valley. The mountains funnel these migrations into concentrated streams. Sometimes you can see 50,000 birds in a single day. The flora ranges from Mediterranean coastal species, carob, pine, myrtle, to alpine species at high elevations. The wildflower displays in spring transform entire mountainsides into tapestries of color. Cyclamens, irises, orchids, tulips. But the relationship Lebanese people have with this nature isn't purely appreciative. It's participatory and pragmatic. They don't view themselves as separate from nature, but as part of it, with responsibilities to steward it. Humans are merely guests in the cedar groves. Cutting a cedar, even one on your own property, requires government permission and is socially taboo. When fires threaten the groves, entire villages mobilize to fight them. Not because the government tells them to, but because the cedars are family. The same protective instinct extends to olive groves, some of which contain trees over 2,000 years old. These trees are treated as ancestors, gnarled, twisted, still producing, still valuable, still worthy of care, even when their productivity declines. Beirut earned the nickname Paris of the East in the 1960s, when it was the financial and cultural capital of the Middle East, a cosmopolitan playground where French haute couture competed with Arabic coffee houses, where casinos and nightclubs operated next to historic mosques, where intellectuals from across the Arab world gathered to publish magazines and debate modernism. The Civil War shattered that image, but the spirit never fully died. Today, Beirut remains defiantly alive, absurdly vibrant, despite, or perhaps because of, constant instability. The 18 religious sects aren't just statistics. They're the flavor of neighborhoods. In Mar Mikhael, Armenian Orthodox families run old photography studios next to trendy bars. In Hamra, Sunni merchants sell shawarma beside Christian-owned bookstores that stock Arabic translations of Camus. In Dahia, Shia neighborhoods burst with energy, street vendors, and political posters. The Lebanese living philosophy is live for the present, because the future is uncertain and the past is too heavy to carry constantly. This manifests in nightlife that defies logic. Clubs packed on Wednesday nights, rooftop bars filled despite economic collapse, beach resorts crowded even when the political situation is tense. It's not denial, it's defiance. It's the refusal to let circumstances dictate joy. You'll see this in Mar Mikhael's stairs, literally stone stairs connecting different elevations of the neighborhood, where old men play backgammon while young people sip craft beer at bars that opened last month in buildings that survived the war. You'll see it in Gemmeze's narrow streets, where galleries showing contemporary art occupy ground floors of buildings still marked by shrapnel. When night falls, Beirut transforms. The Corniche fills with walkers, runners, fishermen, and young couples stealing privacy in public. The restaurants of Zaytouni Bay light up. The music venues of Hamra start their sets. The nightclubs of Gros Street open their doors to crowds that dance until sunrise. Not because they're carefree, but because they refuse to surrender joy to circumstance. At Baalbek, the Roman temple complex sits atop foundation stones that defy conventional explanation. The trilithon, 3 stones forming part of the foundation, each weigh approximately 800 tons. Another stone, still in the quarry nearby, weighs an estimated 1,000 tons and is the largest hewn stone in the world. How did ancient builders move these stones? Some are positioned 20 feet above ground level. The largest modern cranes can lift about 900 tons under ideal conditions. The Romans had sophisticated engineering, but nothing in their documented technology explains moving stones of this size uphill and positioning them with millimeter precision. Some Fringe theorists claim aliens must have been involved. The more prosaic explanation involves tens of thousands of workers, wooden rollers, sophisticated pulley systems, and years of labor. But even this explanation requires assumptions about organizational capacity and engineering knowledge that stretch our understanding of Roman capabilities. Just try standing next to the trilithon stones. Even intellectually knowing they were moved by human beings, your brain refuses to accept it. The scale is wrong for human achievement. Today, Baalbek hosts the annual Baalbek International Festival, where opera, ballet, and concerts are performed against the backdrop of these massive temples. There's something perfectly Lebanese about this. Using 2,000-year-old temples that sit on 4,000-year-old foundations as a venue for Beethoven or Lebanese pop stars, treating ancient wonders not as untouchable museums, but as living spaces. In the mountains, life still revolves around ancient rhythms of herding and agriculture. Shepherds in the Bekaa Valley and Chuf Mountains practice transhumance, moving their flocks of sheep and goats to higher pastures in summer, returning to valleys in winter. These aren't hobby farmers. These are families who've been herding the same mountain paths for generations, who can read weather in cloud formations, who know which herbs cure which sheep ailments, who produce some of the world's finest cheeses in conditions that would horrify health inspectors. Shanklish is Lebanon's most characteristic cheese. Aged balls of strained yogurt rolled in za'atar, thyme, and Aleppo pepper, with a funky, pungent flavor that divides people into devoted lovers or horrified detractors. Making shanklish requires milk from mountain sheep, specific aging conditions, and knowledge passed down through generations. Watch a mountain woman make labneh, and you're watching a practice unchanged since Phoenician times. Milk cultured overnight, poured into cloth bags, hung from tree branches to drain, then salted and formed into balls. The process is simple. The result is transcendent. In coastal areas, fishing families still use techniques dating to Roman times. In Tyre, you can watch fishermen use the same harbor their ancestors used 4,000 years ago, pulling in catches of sardines, red mullet, and sea bream. The olive harvest in October and November mobilizes entire villages. Families spread nets beneath ancient trees, some of which have been producing olives for over 1,000 years, and use long poles to beat the branches. The olives rain down like hailstones. Children gather them into baskets. The harvest goes to stone presses, some still operating from Ottoman times, where the olives are crushed into a paste and pressed into liquid gold. Lebanese olive oil isn't commodity oil. It's estate oil from specific groves with flavor profiles that reflect the mineral content of particular mountainsides, the elevation, the variety of olive. Lebanon's soul isn't found only in its cities, its ruins, or its dramatic landscapes. It's found in the gesture of a grandmother rolling grape leaves, in the sound of church bells and the the call to prayer echoing simultaneously through mountain valleys, in the laughter of young people who refuse to let crisis steal their joy, in the hands of a shepherd who knows every rock and tree on his mountain path. This journey through Lebanon, from the ancient ports where alphabet was born to the mountain groves where cedars have stood for millennia, from the Roman temples that defy engineering explanation to the bustling streets of Beirut where resilience is a daily practice, reveals a truth that extends beyond this small nation. And in that fullness, in that complicated, contradictory, beautiful, wounded, resilient completeness, Lebanon offers something the world desperately needs. Proof that even the most broken places can rebuild, that even the deepest divisions can coexist, that even in the darkest times, people can choose joy, generosity, and continuance. The cedars still stand. The alphabet still speaks. The Mediterranean still glitters against limestone cliffs. The Metzay still covers tables in impossible abundance. The Dabke still stomps ancient rhythms into modern soil. And you'll understand why Lebanese people, no matter how far they scatter across the globe, always speak of their country with a mixture of exasperation and fierce, unshakable love. Because Lebanon isn't just a place, it's a practice of being human in the fullest, most complicated, most generous sense. A practice worth preserving, celebrating, and learning from.